Hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you to Market Research in the Mobile World for having us. We are nearing the end of the year, and although there is still a busy period ahead of us, we thought that for today's session it would be a good idea to look back on the previous year. While 2020 was the year of the big pandemic disruptions, 2021 was the year of vaccinations, but also the year in which we were getting the first glimpse of what our new world might look like. And therefore, for this session, we have selected 3 behavioral research trends in particular that have crystallized this year and on which we at EyeSee have worked this year with our clients. And we are convinced that they will also shape your 2022. At EyeSee, we have been privileged to have had during the course of the year many interesting conversations with our clients on these trends. And it is from these talks that we have selected a number of lessons from Coca Cola, Colgate-Palmolive and Google. The 3 trends that we want to talk about are the following. First of all, how innovative methods, such as online remote research, for example, are disrupting traditional in-store research. We want to discuss how such innovation can happen at large companies and what advantages it can bring. The second trend is e-commerce. It keeps booming, as we all know, but what we want to look at is which market research tools you need to increase your success in the e-commerce world. And the third theme is sustainability. It is high on the agenda for many brands, and it will only increase in importance in the next year. We will have a look at what our internal research has told us about who green buyers are and what our clients have told us about how to successfully address these green buyers and how to manage a successful innovation process, which is a prerequisite to making your products more green. We hope that these insights will be valuable when preparing for 2022 and that they might be an inspiration for what you want to put on your company's research resolutions list for the next year. So now, I have the privilege of introducing our experienced experts. Today, we are going to be hearing from Tanya Petrovic, Innovation Strategy Director at the Coca Cola Company, Tiffaine Guabeau, Research Lead at Google for Southern Europe, Vanya Halilogic, Product Marketing Manager at Google, Omnat Kidekar, Product and Consumer Insights at Swiggy, Joris de Bruyne, Partner at our own EyeSee, and Lyubov Ruchinskaya, Brand Insights at Colgate-Palmolive for Western Europe. Without further ado, let us dive into the first trend. Online remote behavioral research has been disrupting traditional in-store research. Indeed, the lockdowns in many countries in the previous years have required us all to adapt and have brought a lot more spotlight on the virtues of online and remote research, which is now here to stay. What we have learned, however, is that such disruptions are often driven by smaller companies, such as EyeSee and others. Let us first hear from Tanya at Coca Cola, because she told us how she believes such smaller companies can play the role of powerful innovators in a way that bigger companies have more difficulty to do.
Small innovators, small disruptors will keep on popping up and teaching all of us important lessons, important business lessons, I would say so. We big companies tend to think big, to immediately provide a wide portfolio, to immediately go into the big campaigns, many touch points, wide formats, many occasions, wide distributions, and so on. And the beauty of small is exactly in the opposite. The beauty of small and the reason why they are so successful is exactly because they don't think of they are not obsessed with the economy of scale. They are forced, I have to say, to be small for a while, to act niche, and this is the key reason of their success. And there is a lot of things that we as a big companies can learn out of them, and we are learning each and every day. And, there is a beauty of interacting in between us and the small companies because we are exchanging the knowledge and exchanging the experience and learning out of each other because both of the sides has their own kind of pluses that we can all benefit of.
Thank you, Tanya. That's a very nice thought. And you sketch exactly the space where we are trying to play and where we are trying to innovate. We'll now hear from Tiffaine at Google. Google, of course, is for many of us the preeminent example of an innovative company. So it's very interesting to hear what they have to say on how they learn to adapt their way of doing research to the new situation and how they believe that finding new methods is at the heart of their mission as researchers.
What we learned from the COVID is that the marketing research process cannot rely on one methodology only. Researchers now need to combine different sources of data. It can be questionnaires, signals like the Google Trends signals that I just mentioned, or passive measurement to ensure a reliable and flexible measurement of the changing behaviors. Our mission as researchers is to generate actionable insights that will put the user in their context and especially at the heart of business decisions. And as our users' behaviors have evolved over the past years and have become more and more complex to measure, innovating is definitely key to develop these actionable insights. And then, of course, innovation is a crucial component of our DNA as researchers at Google. We aim to create thought leadership, demonstrate this what-if spirit in any piece of research operated, even in the most traditional ones, like brand trackers, for instance. But how do you do that? For us, it's very important to create a space for innovation by partnering and brainstorming with many diverse research companies. It can go from a startup building experimentations to very large and well-known research vendors well-established in many countries. So for us, it's like an interactive process, as we are always happy to also share best practices or new methodologies.
We believe that is indeed a very interesting way of thinking about innovation and market research. And at EyeSee, we live by the principle that you need to combine several methods to create an in-depth view of your customer's behavior. Tiffaine, for example, mentioned our virtual store methodology, and I would like to let her colleague Vanya explain how we used that during the project that we did together.
Last year during COVID, we have decided to revamp our tables for September 2020 to be more helpful and understandable for consumers when facing our tables. In this new COVID context, it was crucial to test our tables by online study without compromising results and consumer understanding. So thanks to the EyeSee methodology and study, we extracted smart learnings about visibility, interaction, and product understanding. How? The first step was to recreate an existing laptop area in 3D. We also modelized our different table setup to incorporate them into the 3D store. Everything was reconstructed in details to recreate the full in-store experience, from the table's shape to each laptop and stickers. The second step, we recruited and invited respondents to a 25-minute experience on their own laptop, and thanks to the virtual stores, we were able to follow them during the whole in-store purchase experience. So first, they began with the eye tracking. The respondents were invited to watch the video of the 3D stores and to look anywhere they would look as if they were in the real store. The aim was to measure where they look at, for how long, and in which order to drive conclusion about Chromebook brand visibility. After, we asked them questions to measure spontaneous brand awareness and recall. Then the second phase, click tracking. Respondents are invited to interact with the tables. They were asked to click on anything they found interesting on the tables. As everything has been modelized in 3D, clients could explore each communication element, such as product stickers or even play videos. Clicks were recorded to measure interaction during this experience. At the end, they were exposed again to each communication element and then answer a regular questionnaire on Chromebook and table elements. It allows us to measure the product understandings. At the end, in one single study, we were able to know which table drew the highest brand visibility, the best interaction rate, and finally, if we succeeded in improving our product understanding.
Thank you so much to Tiffaine and Vanya for these insights. Time to move to our second trend, which is, unsurprisingly, e-commerce. The question that we looked at with many of our clients is which type of market research they need to find the winning formula for e-commerce. I want to give you the insight of Omnat from Swiggy. And Swiggy is India's largest food ordering and delivering platform, and as such is at the forefront of the e-commerce disruption in their market. First, he will share with us his view on how the e-commerce landscape has irreversibly changed in India, but this applies to many other countries.
I really believe that the baseline has definitely been shifted, because the kind of convenience, the kind of discounts, the kind of selection which is available online, right, and an audience who wants options or who wants those deals has now been exposed to this beautiful world of e-commerce, right? Correct. For them, it's not going to be easy to going back to, like, going to their normal, usual mom and pop store and buying those particular items. Because if we do, like I said, I strongly believe that if we do the hygiene, whatever is expected from the consumer properly, right? Definitely for the next 5 years, definitely for the next 10 years, the growth story for anybody who's there in e-commerce will definitely grow.
When we were talking with him, he gave us also some very valuable lessons on the goal of market research in the e-commerce space in general, and more specifically on how to use and balance data from passive tracking on the one hand and data from traditional research on the other. How can you combine those two for an optimal result?
Magic essentially happens when you marry both those data sets. Us being researchers, right, a lot of time we tend to get very academic about it and we want to do it like in a proper way and ensure that, but what's the purpose of doing it in the first place, right? The purpose of doing it in the first place is to generate some actionable insights or some action or some pilot or some AB or some initiative, I would like to say, right, which essentially moves certain KPIs, right? Whether it's conversion, whether it's time spent on the app, anything it might be, right? At the end of the day, you are pushing the envelope in terms of getting that additional delta or getting the, pulling people's loyalty or consideration more towards you. So I think that's the name of the game at the end of the day.
Indeed. We fully agree with Omnat that the name of the game, as he calls it, is to find some actions that move certain KPIs, like conversion, but also, for example, visibility and clicks. The question, of course, is now, which type of market research can tell you which action will have such impact? In this context, I thought it might be helpful to share how we at EyeSee apply behavioral methods to help you with exactly that, understanding what moves the needle in your e-commerce presence. From our experience, the way we look at it, there are actually 3 levels of understanding that you need to know to win in this e-commerce game. On the first level, there is a strategic level, and that's all about understanding who your customers are, where they are going to shop, and why they are choosing a particular platform. Of course, if you have your own platform, then it's about understanding who exactly your users are. The second level is about understanding the specific behavior of these shoppers on a specific e-commerce platform. It's all about questions like how they navigate to a certain product or a certain category. Do they use menu? Do they use a search function? And so on. The third level then is a really tactical level in which you gain understanding on how to use different e-commerce assets. It's about understanding what to put as an image, for example, to represent your product. How to use different ads or banners in terms of understanding what the content is you need for them or which placement works best. Different elements of the product detail page can lead to a more interaction with your product, and it's about understanding these kinds of elements. So in general, it's about optimizing those elements to ensure that you have the most visibility and the most clicks for your product or for your promotion, and ultimately the most add to carts. What we often see is that a lot of our clients, they are very comfortable with the first level. And of course, it's a crucial level. In that case, it might be very interesting to actually look at the other sides of the pyramid and to understand those more instead of just trying to keep digging deeper and deeper on the first part. So what we advise is then to take a bottom-up approach and to start looking at some of these tactical elements that can make sure that your product presentation, your ads, or your promos are really designed for optimal visibility and clicks. As Omnat also mentioned, the advantage of this approach is that you have an immediate win with a direct actionable result and also a direct sales impact. And this knowledge is above that, also often transferable to other products and other platforms too. And so therefore it's important to cover all the levels of the pyramids, and at a certain point just to leave the first level behind and to start testing something and see how customers react to it, and then to be able to bring an immediate improvement to your e-commerce presence. With this, we are ready to tackle our third and last trend that we wanted to share with you: sustainability. It's a topic that many brands are now confronted with, and many struggle to find the right strategy. What we want to share here is first of all what we learned about who green buyers are, and then secondly, how to innovate your product portfolio to address them. So as said, the first step is to understand who those green buyers are. One of our large internal studies this year tackled exactly that topic and brought some interesting learnings on consumer needs and attitudes in the green space. I will leave it to our partner Joris to tell us a bit more about this.
What we have learned is that there are three important segments. The first one are true eco-buyers. So these are typically a bit younger than 40, typically they are female, and they're on a higher level of education and personal income. These are folks that are very much influenced by anti-pollution posts on socials. They absolutely care about the design and the attractiveness of eco-products overall. Secondly, there is a group that says they care, but they need an incentive to join. Typically, they're a bit older, so 40 plus, and what they state is that price and availability are some top concerns for them to buy into sustainable products. What we have learned is that they prefer sustainable products by famous brands. We'll get back to that. Then there's a third segment that is not really engaged. So we call them the uninterested ones. They're not really aware, or they do not care too much about pollution or sustainability, and it seems that there are no particular incentives to bring them along. We have seen that 88% of shoppers believe that the pollution of air, water, and soil is one of the most relevant threats to preserve our environment. However, there's a big however. There is only 34% of shoppers that actually think that they personally can contribute to solve this problem. Last but not least, we found that 46% of folks who are interested would purchase eco-friendly products if they would be at the same price as regular products. So of course, price has a big role to play. On this particular slide, you see the top 3 incentives for buying more eco-friendly products. I, as a market research nerd, am obviously very much interested in what are the barriers. And as mentioned before, number 1 would be the high price. There is also a level of unavailability, and then a lack of variety, of course. But what's key for us to keep in mind is to obviously have competitive prices. The willingness to pay more is not there for 80% of the shoppers.
So now that we know that, what to do with this knowledge? I wanted to give you the insights of Lyubov from Colgate-Palmolive on this topic, who will share more about how they think you need to address these different segments, but also how they at Colgate look at their responsibility for a better environment and how they believe you should communicate effectively about sustainability.
The core segment of highly involved in sustainability topic people will be growing in the next 20 years and are set to represent half the population by the end of the decade. So we need to focus on this segment in our activities. The middle segment requires extra triggers, as I said before, to join the movement, so especially big companies need to take a lead to provide these people with more environmentally friendly options at affordable prices that are widely available. These efforts are important to make not only to gain a competitive advantage, but because we have the power to do so. I believe that the brands needs to be extension of people's value, people they target with their offers. For that reason, brands need to choose the relevant topic for their business and make an action, not necessarily heavily invest to make a difference, more to create avenues for others to contribute, create forces by uniting people together, partnering with other organizations. In my opinion, it should not be treated as a competitive advantage, it should be considered as a necessity, because what will happen if we don't do anything today? we're responsible for the world would be left to the next generation. When it comes to the communication, I think it's important to keep transparency with your customers and showcase the progress and outline plans and achievements.
Addressing the sustainability topic, however, means innovation. New products need to be developed or existing products need to be adapted. For example, in terms of formulation, packaging, and communication. Executing these innovations is always tricky, but Lyubov talked about her secret formula, the approach she uses at Colgate, and it's something we might all learn from.
I'm a big fan of Jeremy Gucci, the CEO and founder of Trend Hunter, who recently published book Exploiting Chaos. The approach he is advertising we also applied in many project lies in a very easy formula. First of all, apply open source leadership in gathering new ideas, looking at the problem from a completely unique angle, by partnering with new vendors and bringing new talents. Secondly, keep the people in the center of innovation process and prototype with people. Do not ask people what they want because they don't know. In opposite, propose solution, listen to the feedback, adopt the innovation and repeat the process again. Finally, communicate about your innovation to the right people using the right touch points. So it will not change actually. So the same creative approach we apply for many projects, especially for developing sustainable products. So we have developed the first Colgate recyclable tube and launched Smile for Good toothpaste last year. We have embraced transparency. The product was also certified with the EcoCert and Vegan Association. The idea was prototyped with people and experts. We didn't ask people what they want. We checked with them our hypothesis and made them the part of our creative process. This was the time we used only agile tools. This is one of the examples we allowed ourselves to break the internal protocols and processes and go really fast by bringing all stakeholders together and talents to the table from early beginning. It was operating in a startup mode with full commitment and readiness to fail fast. The product was developed and hit the market in 6 months. This brand influenced Colgate brand perception as a brand that is taking care about the planet. We unlocked growth by being people-centric. And this is the secret formula lies in all prototypes I was the part of.
That's indeed a great takeaway and a great way to end our webinar. We hope that with this, we were able to share some of the most important things that we learned from our clients in 2021, and that you can use these as a lesson and inspiration for the type of consumer-centric research and innovation you should be preparing for in 2022. With that, I want to thank again all experts who shared their advice and all of you, of course, who tuned in. Now, let's have a chat. I am more than happy to answer all of your questions. Thank you.